Thank you very much. And it will be a very exciting 5 days. We're doing numerous trips to numerous great places, great states. And I hear we're doing very well, but we'll let you know on Tuesday night. You'll know before I will, I suspect. I will say that we had tremendous job numbers today. It was just released 250,000 new jobs created in the month of October. That was shocking for a lot of people. That was a tremendous number by any standard. And that's despite the hurricanes. The hurricanes normally have a big impact. And I'm sure these hurricanes, they were massive. They had a big impact. But so the 250,000 new jobs in October was an incredible number. We also had a wage increase of 3.1%. It's like a perfect increase. It's an incredible number, but it's a perfect increase. So the country is doing, I think, maybe you could say better than it's ever done. We have a lot of new companies moving into the United States. And that's where we're letting people in. We're letting them in based on merit. We need workers. We need people to come in at 3.7%, which was also announced this morning. 250,000 jobs, 3.7%, and a 3.1% or so wage increase. It's like really unbelievable numbers. So that just came out. I'm sure you people know about that.
If you lose the House, will you work with, compromise with Nancy Pelosi?
Sure, I would. Sure.
Mr. President, are you really okay with the U.S. military firing on the caravan people?
No, they won't have to fire. What I don't want is I don't want these people throwing rocks. It's turned out, in fact, it was just announced by Homeland Security, you have in just certain areas over 300 people that they know are trouble. What they did to the Mexican military is a disgrace. They hit them with rocks. Some were very seriously injured, and they were throwing rocks in their face. They do that with us, they're going to be arrested. There's going to be problems. I didn't say shoot. I didn't say shoot. But they do that with us. They're going to be arrested for a long time.
The military can't arrest them.
They will arrest them. No, but ICE and Border Patrol is there with the military.
Executive order. Did Don McGahn tell you that?
Which are you talking about? Who?
You said that you were told you can change birthright citizenship as outlined.
You know who's going to determine that? The Supreme Court of the United States. The Supreme Court will determine that. The Supreme Court is going to determine that. Many people feel that. Yes, go ahead.
Are you prepared to make a deal with China and announce it at the G20, or do you think that deal's not going to
We've had very good discussions with China. We're getting much closer to doing something. They very much want to make a deal. As you know, their economy went way down since we've been doing this skirmish. I spoke with President Xi yesterday. They very much want to make a deal. I think we'll make a deal with China, and I think it'll be a very fair deal for everybody, but it will be a good deal for the United States.
Do you see an end to tariffs?
Will you make it by the G20, sir?
Will you make them at the G20?
Well, we're going to meet at the G20. We're going to have dinner. President Xi and I have agreed to meet at the G20. We'll be having dinner. We'll be discussing it. But I think a very good deal will be made with China. They want to make it very badly. We want to make a deal if we can. And a lot of progress has been made. A lot of progress. And they understand that if a deal isn't made, we're doing very well the way we're doing it right now. You understand that. $250 billion at 25%, and it could be elevated by another $267 billion at 25% or more. So we're doing very well, but I know they want to make a deal. They've been hit very hard. Their economy has been very, very bad. I will say this, if we can make the right deal for this country, and also they're going to make the right deal for them, if we can open up China and make it fair for the first time ever. This should have been done years ago by other presidents, but it wasn't. I am very willing to do it. But China very much wants to make a deal.
Mr. President, Alec Baldwin was just arrested for punching somebody out during a parking dispute. Any reaction to his arrest?
Who was arrested?
Alec Baldwin. He punched somebody out during a parking dispute.
I wish him luck.
That's it.
Mr. President, can you clarify your statement when you said that you're going to arrest people? You're not advocating actually shooting people who are throwing rocks.
No.
Can you clear that up?
But if our soldiers or Border Patrol or ICE are going to be hit in the face with rocks, we're going to arrest those people. That doesn't mean shoot them, but we're going to arrest those people quickly and for a long period of time.
On Monday.
Everything we're doing is totally legal. It's all gone through the courts, but we have one of the few systems where instead of telling people you can't come in, we take them in and we have to bring them through a court system. It is the most ridiculous system in the world. It's obsolete, but that's not the problem. The problem is it's a stupid system and it doesn't work, and the Democrats and the Republicans could change it immediately. We could do it in one day. We could have it fixed, but the Democrats don't want to do it because they're playing politics. And actually, I think it's very bad politics because the people of this country know what's going on better than they do. And you know what? We could fix our immigration system in one day if we could sit down with them, but they don't want to do it because they want open border, and open borders mean crime. They want those people coming up by the thousands, and you know, honestly, they always have come up. They want them to pour into our country. And in the group, and you just saw the report that came out, you have a lot of bad people. You have people that are criminals, you have people with records, you have people with criminal records. We could fix this system so quickly, so easily, but we need some Democrat votes. Or vote all Republican. If we had more Republicans, it would be fixed immediately.
So can you guarantee we'll start on Monday? Do you think they will come soon to the table for negotiation?
Say it.
The Iranian oil sanction will start on Monday.
That's right. Sanctions start on Iran. They're very serious sanctions. They're very big. They'll be elevated from there. But as you know, sanctions are starting on Iran. And, you know, Iran is taking a very big hit. The country is not the same country as when I started almost 2 years ago. Iran is a much different country since I terminated that deal. That was one of the most ridiculous deals ever made by any country at any time, the Iran nuclear deal. But sanctions very much are elevated as of you know when, next week.
So can you guarantee that the military is not going to fire on civilians, even the bad people?
The Democrats said they had a bipartisan agreement on immigration, but you won't back it.
The Democrats never had a bipartisan agreement. They're trying to say that. They never had a Then tell them to come around and see me. They had an agreement that was a one-sided agreement that I would never approve. You've got to get rid of catch and release. You've got to get rid of chain migration. You've got to get rid of the visa lottery. They never agreed to any of that. Ask them if they agreed. They never agreed to any of that.
So can you promise that the military is not going to fire on foreign civilians?
Well, I hope they won't. We're going to see. I hope they won't. But you know what? We're not going to stand for people doing what they did to the Mexican military and to the Mexican police. What they did to those people, they were very badly hurt, very badly injured. The military and the police. What they did with rocks being thrown in their faces, not going to happen to our soldiers. No, you know what? You're creating violence by your questions. You know, you are creating you. And also, a lot of the reporters are creating violence by not writing the truth. The fake news is creating violence. And you know what? The people that support Trump and the people that support us, which is a lot of people, most people, many people, those people know what a story is true and they know what a story is false. And I'll tell you what, if the media would write correctly and write accurately and write fairly, you'd have a lot less violence in the country. Well, we're going to see. I think we're doing very well. Certainly, we're doing very well in the Senate, which is obviously very important. And I think we're going to do also well in the House. We're going to see. I can only say this. The House is a lot of stops.
Why are you only going to states that you won in the last days?
What's your next question?
What are the Democrats?
How many questions do you have? No more.
Mohammed bin Salman in Saudi Arabia.
We're doing a perfect executive order, and the border is closed to these people. They're not coming in. They will go through the system, and then they'll be shipped back, depending on what happens with asylum.
Are you worried about the lawsuit that the Hondurans filed yesterday?
6 Hondurans sued you.
Just so you understand, Honduras, El Salvador, all of these countries, they're getting millions and millions of dollars. They're doing nothing for us. They're doing nothing. They let their people come up and they form their caravans in the country. They are doing nothing. We're paying them hundreds of millions of dollars. Guess what? That money's going to stop very soon. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
What do you want to discuss with Putin?
What do you want to discuss with Putin in Paris?
Say it again.
With Vladimir Putin, what do you want to discuss in Paris?
I have no idea what you're saying.
Mr.
We
President,
are, and we're doing very well with China. I just said over here where I spoke with President Xi yesterday. We had a great conversation. They want very much to make a deal. Right now, we're getting billions of dollars coming in. We're getting $250 billion. That never happened to China before. And China's been hit very hard. We have not. We're doing well. We had the best job numbers that you can imagine. 250,000 today. It was really amazing. Today was just announced for the month of October, 250,000 jobs, 3.7% unemployment, which is fantastic, and wages going up for people. And also job opportunity going way up where people can now get the job they want. So the numbers are about as good as you'll ever see. And that's despite some really bad hurricanes, which really usually detract from numbers. And I'm sure they would have even been better. But the 250,000 jobs in October was a shocking number even to some of the great economists. I can tell you Larry Kudlow, Kevin Hassett, all of these people, they were so impressed. So we're really doing it. The economy is on fire. I think it may be the greatest economy our country's ever had. And I hope people realize that when they go out on Tuesday and they vote, or if they do early voting. But I hope people realize that. Thank you.
Mr. President, what about the law?
Well, a final message to voters is, number one, we want to have strong borders. But if you look at what's happening with our country, we have the greatest economy we probably have ever had. We just had among the best job numbers we've ever had. 250,000 jobs created in October despite tremendous hurricanes, which are always a huge detriment. Everybody thought, even we thought, the number could never be anywhere near that because of the hurricane. So really, we have the greatest economy we've ever had. People are working. We're down to 3.7% unemployment. We're doing some very special things. Plus, everybody, we've gotten a tremendous tax reduction. People are bringing home more money. And you know what else about the job? They now can go out and get a job they want because they have choice. They never had any choice. They can go out and get a job they want. And speaking of choice, what we've done for the military and the vets, we've gotten them choice, where they can now go to a doctor and the United States pays for it instead of waiting in line for 2 months and 3 months and not being able to see a doctor and literally dying while they're waiting in line to see a doctor. After 44 years they've been working on it. I got it approved, and that's choice for veterans. So it's a great thing. So our country's doing really well, and I will see you in West Virginia.